What is up, everyone? It's your girl Tabs here with Keeping Tabs, and welcome back to the podcast. It is episode 13. Today we are going to recap WWE Crown Jewel that was in Perth, Australia this past Saturday. 5 big-time matches, a lot better than WrestlePalooza in my personal opinion, so we're going to dive into deep recaps of that. Also going to recap NXT Showdown. That was a great Tuesday episode, NXT versus TNA, so once again, we'll dive into a nice recap of both of these shows. So let's get into it. So overall, the feel of Crown Jewel definitely had a better build than WrestlePalooza. They had the same amount of matches. I'm still disappointed in WWE with only giving us 5 matches on the back-to-back PLEs. Personally, I think 6 to 7 is a lot better number. I know that's only 1 to 2 more, but still, come on. We deserve a little bit more when we're paying more for these PLEs. And especially the fact that we're on ESPN now. Come on. I will say, with Crown Jewel, matches were very lengthy, and I really appreciated it. It was very detail-oriented, and that was something I appreciated a lot more than WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza just felt very thrown together. I don't know. There was no cohesiveness between it, and they didn't really have the greatest ending or beginning, really, with that John Cena-Brock Lesnar match. But Crown Jewel was definitely better. I think from start to finish, it was very, very entertaining throughout. Starting off, we had Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns in a Australian street fight. First off, we have to mention, with this whole street fight concept that WWE always uses, it's always whatever city they're in. We've seen Philadelphia street fights, Detroit street fights, Chicago, New York, and now they're saying Australia, I don't know, I kind of wish they played into more of the theme of Australia. I know Roman Reigns pulled out a cricket bat and a rugby ball, but they could have thrown out a couple more things, I feel to really play into the Australia theme. Overall, this was a pretty cool match, though. I did really think that Bronson Reed deserved the win here, which he obviously did get the win with the help of Braun Breaker. I think we all could have predicted that. A couple things that I really did think were kind of funny, though, is I loved when Bronson Reed had the freaking stop sign and was using that as a weapon. I thought that was kind of funny. But after Braun Breaker came out to help Bronson Reed, the Usos came out to try to help Roman, even though this past Monday on Raw, Roman said, "I'm going to do this on my own. I do not need y'all's help. Please don't come out there." But, of course, they wanted to come help their cousin, family. They're always going to come and help him. But did end up costing Roman in the end, as Jey Uso accidentally spears Roman through a table, and that's where Braun and Bronson Reed take advantage, taking out the Usos, taking out Roman, setting him up for the tsunami from Bronson Reed, which nobody's kicking out of a freaking tsunami, dude. It's one of the deadliest finishers in all of WWE. And once again, overall, good match. Had some really cool spots. I, again, wish they played into the Australia theme more. The most interesting thing about this match, though, was post-match. Obviously, Bronson Reed got the win. So, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman, they're walking up the ramp. We get that shot. And then it goes back into the ring where Jimmy and Jay are upset. And then Roman finally comes to, and he's pissed off at them. And he's like, "I told y'all I didn't need your help, blah, 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 whatever." The most interesting thing, though, is, quote, "I don't want to see y'all till Christmas," is what Roman said. I'm very interested how this is going to play on and go forward. Is Roman going to be there on Raw this coming week? I assume so, because he's already in Australia. Also, what's going to happen between the Usos now? Because there's been a little tension between those two. Jay and Roman have been seeming a little bit closer lately. So I'm, again, interested to see how this is going to play out. Bronson Reed definitely deserved the win, though. He needed this big-time win after losing to Roman last time they faced off. And plus, this just helps the vision overall. The second match of the night was the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Champion, versus Stephanie Vaquer, the Women's World Champion. Even though this was the shortest match of the night, I still did think it was probably second to third best match of the night. Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie Vaquer definitely had some great chemistry, even though I believe this might be their first ever matchup. And I bet a lot of people had Tiffany Stratton winning, but I picked Stephanie Vaquer. Actually, I was 5 for 5 on my predictions for Crown Jewel. Stephanie Vaquer getting the win, though, and just continuing to go up the mountaintop. She's won 4 championships this year. NXT Women's North American Championship, the NXT Championship. Then she won the Women's World Championship against EO at WrestlePalooza, and now she is the Women's Crown Jewel Champion of 2025. So they are just continuing on to push her to the moon. It also seems that they are officially changing her finisher from the VSB to that, her version of the spinal tap. But again, I'm really happy that Stephanie won, and I think that she is literally one of the top. Besides Rhea Ripley, I think Stephanie is right there as the second best and biggest, love superstar on the women's division. Alrighty, the third match of the night was John Cena and AJ Styles. Now, this is the match that I feel like everyone was looking forward to the most. A dream match once again. This is the 4th time that they're facing off in a big PLE like this. AJ Styles leading the series 2-1 going into it. Last time they faced off was 2017 at the Royal Rumble, where John Cena took that championship from AJ Styles to become the 16-time, tying the record. Obviously, now he's the 17-time champion. So AJ Styles had a little extra, kind of revenge in his mouth that he wanted to get out. Obviously, we know it's John Cena's retirement tour, but this is the official beginning of AJ Styles' retirement mini tour that he's going to do as he's retiring in 2026. And John Cena's getting his special entrance as usual, and then he does a double point and gives a little paper to Alicia, the ring announcer, where he has a surprise ring introduction for AJ Styles, which was absolutely beautiful. AJ's the total definition of total non-stop action, which is the acronym for TNA. He's the face that runs the place. He's the best Bullet Club leader of all time. It was just absolutely beautiful. And I think the, rumors going around internally that was a general surprise to AJ. So I thought that was beautiful. And AJ was wearing his throwback TNA gear, Mr. TNA, Mr. WWE. Like, what else could you ask for in this match? It was awesome. So let's get a little more into the details here. Obviously, this match didn't have really too much build-up, but it didn't really need it. I mean, this is a match the fans have been begging for ever since John Cena announced the retirement tour. And I'm very, very happy that Triple H actually gave us to it. This is probably, honestly, I think this is the best match out of his entire retirement tour besides the Cody Part 2 at SummerSlam. But all throughout this match, we had some incredible spots. A lot of different moves done by each superstar to honor their different opponents, that they faced throughout their careers. As AJ did a couple moves from his TNA guys that he faced throughout his career there. John Cena continuing to do moves throughout with some of his biggest rivals that he cannot face throughout the tour. So he's going to do those moves and those little homages in his matches. So John Cena throughout this match paid homage to Chris Jericho doing the Walls of Jericho. He also did the skull-crushing finale to pay homage to The Miz. He pulled out an accolade, which is Rusev's move. He did a beautiful Sister Abigail, even kissing AJ's forehead before he hit it, paying homage to Bray, which led the entire arena to pull out the Fireflies, and that was one of the best moments. That's probably my favorite moment of the entire night. He also did Randy Orton's vintage DDT off the ropes, and the crowd was chanting RKO, so of course he had to hit an RKO, which was pretty good. He almost got to do a 619 as he did get to hit AJ into the ropes and set it up, but AJ ended up countering it before he could actually set up the 619. Now, I do believe if John Cena can face Dom at Survivor Series, say, for the IC title, that's where we see him hit the 619. That would be freaking incredible and iconic. And then he paid homage to The Undertaker twice as he hit a choke slam and he hit a tombstone pile driver. I just love the little details that John has been doing inside these matches. And AJ is starting to do it as well. Again, he did a couple moves for Samoa Joe, doing his choke out. Frankie Kazarian, I believe he did something for him as well. I don't know what the move is called. He also paid homage to Sting. And then he paid homage to Christopher Daniels with the Fallen Angels. Or Angel's Wing, or whatever it's called. And something to note is that we have 4 dates left for John Cena. As he was leaving the ramp, that's where he gave us he was leaving the ring, going up the ramp. He gave us the 4. So we know November 10th on Monday Night Raw, and then 1 week later, November 17th on Monday Night Raw. So this is building up to Survivor Series, which is November 29th, my birthday. And then his final match, of course, is on a special Saturday night's main event on December 13th. So 4 final appearances. In my heart, in my mind, I'm trying to like gaslight myself to think like we're going to get a surprise appearance one of these days, but I don't really know. So at least with the 2 Monday Night Raws before Survivor Series, there's something that's going to build up, and the rumor is it's going to be Dom versus Cena for the IC title, which I really, really hope we get. But how do we get to his retirement match? I personally do not want the rumors of a Gunther, a Brock Lesnar, a Rock. But like Gunther's the biggest rumor going around. It's like semi-unconfirmed but not confirmed. I really don't want that. I think that's going to be a boring matchup in my opinion. And to me, it doesn't really make too much sense. I'd rather see someone like a Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, maybe have Dom Part 2, Carmelo Hayes. Even someone like Oba Femi, I feel like, could be in that conversation as well. But then you have a couple older guys that could still play that role, like a Seth Rollins, potentially. So I'm just a little interested to see how this is going forward, how we're going to get to that final match in December. But definitely interested to see what we're going to get on those 2 Monday Night Raws in November leading to Survivor Series. And again, hopefully we get John Cena, Dominic Mysterio, Intercontinental Championship. That would be a great match. That would be iconic. And San Diego, that's Dom's hometown too, so that would be really cool. And back to Crown Jewel, we have the 4th match of the night, which was Rhea Ripley. Obviously, she is the home country favorite, and her partner Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors of Kairi Sane and Asuka. Now, this is probably the best built and built up storyline going into this weekend. They've been teasing this for a couple weeks now, almost 2 full months it feels like. Obviously, Asuka and Kairi finally turning on Io a couple weeks ago. Rhea's consistently been standing up for Io, saying she deserves better treatment. So this match definitely was going to be interesting. And once again, Rhea getting an incredible pop as it is her home country. Io still getting a great pop too. They love Io Sky. Everyone loves Io Sky. If you don't love Io, what are you doing? Match was a little underwhelming, if I'm going to be honest, but it still had some cool spots. Obviously, starting off, Io started off the match, and they kept her in there for a while to build up the crowd to get that, hot tag into Rhea to get the crowd going. But overall, Rhea and Io still getting the dub. Again, I was correct in my predictions. Knowing that Rhea's from Australia, I felt like they just had to give it to her. And I really do think that Io and Rhea are going to continue on as a tag team. Rhea kind of speculated a little bit in the post-show, saying that she would love to continue on with Rio. That's their little tag team name. So I would love to see that. I think that they could go after the tag titles and continue to build the women's tag division with these bigger names. Obviously Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair are the current tag champions. Having Rhea Ripley, Io Sky go after them. Still having Asuka and Kairi Sane in the tag division. And they can continue to build off of that. But closing off the match, Rhea did hit her riptide, tagging in Io so that Io could get the over the moonsault to get the pin, which was kind of satisfying for her. It was really her battle to fight, and so I love that Rhea gave her the final say on it. And then the main event of the night was the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. World Heavyweight Champ Seth frickin' Rollins versus the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes. Now, this match definitely had some good build-up as well, as they have a very lengthy history. Obviously, Cody, when he returned to WWE at WrestleMania, his first ever opponent was Seth Rollins. And they continued on their feud after that WrestleMania for a little bit. And then even more interesting with this feud is that they actually ended up becoming friends, quote unquote, and partnering up at WrestleMania 40 to defeat Roman Reigns, and that even though they lost the tag match to Roman and The Rock, they got the win. Cody got the win in the main event of WrestleMania 40, getting the undisputed title from Roman, and Seth sacrificed his body and was the literal shield for Cody. But they're back and forth over the last few weeks. Is Seth saying, I was never really friends with you, blah, blah, blah. You were just the less of the evils at the time, but now you are, my top priority because I want to control the vision and control the future of this industry for the next 20, 30 years, which Cody did call him out a couple weeks ago saying you're so dramatic, blah, 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 all this stuff, which I definitely agree a little bit. But I did think Rollins needed this win, as Heyman kind of alluded to last week. Like if you don't win this, you're going to lose the respect of all these people. You might lose me. You're going to lose the locker room, all this stuff. So Seth getting the win on Crown Jewel was definitely kind of predictable, but also very much needed for him and his character and to continue on pushing the vision. I think one thing they definitely need to do next with the vision is put the tag titles on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. I think that's, the biggest move they can do next for the vision and, help strengthen the tag title division too, because Judgment Day hasn't done shit and it's kind of getting annoying. But overall, Seth versus Cody, I feel like they're going to continue on this feud at some point in the next few years. Like they'll come back to this eventually. The one thing, Seth did win the match without the help of Bronson, Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman, but he did have to cheat using the Rolex that he got from Cody, going into WrestleMania 40 that he brought up a couple weeks ago. He did have to use that to cheat and knock out Cody, leading to the super stomp that, got the win. But I feel like that's something that either Heyman, Cody, somebody's going to play into that in the next, probably at Monday Night Raw coming up or going forward that, yes, you won by yourself, but you still cheated. So I feel like something's going to happen there. And with both of the Crown Jewels winners being on Monday Night Raw, I see a lot happening on this Monday Night Raw. That's going to be in Australia. Don't forget special start time for that. I think it's 8 a.m. Eastern time and 5 a.m. Pacific, just like it was for Crown Jewel on this past Saturday. That is going to be live on Netflix, so make sure you're tuning in if you can. But yeah, overall, Crown Jewel was definitely a lot better than WrestlePalooza, in my opinion. And I think that even though with the less, only having 5 matches and the lesser matches, I think that they still made each match very, very, content heavy, very detail oriented, and a lot lengthier than I anticipated for some of them. But very, very happy with this overall. This is a lot better. Like I said, WrestlePalooza, I mean, even it definitely matches like a Clash in Paris because it is technically a smaller PLE. But now we have a little bit of direction going towards this Saturday night's main event, beginning of November, also going towards Survivor Series at the end of November. So interested to see what's going to go forward. So let's go ahead and jump into the recap of NXT Showdown next. Alrighty, so NXT versus TNA, NXT Showdown. It was originally supposed to be called Invasion, because kind of like an invasion angle, kind of what they did back in the day with ECW, but that did not work out. Apparently there was some controversy online, so they changed it to Showdown. I'm indifferent. I'm a little indifferent. I don't really care. But we had 4 big-time matches between NXT and TNA. 2 Survivor Series elimination matches between the women and the men. Ethan Page defended his North American title. And then also we had the TNA tag titles versus the NXT tag titles. Hardy Boys versus Dark State. So let's get into it and jump into the details. The opening match of the night was the Hardy Boys, the TNA tag champions, versus Dark State, who are the NXT tag title champions. Again, title versus title, winner takes all. Was a pretty decent match overall. The Dark State, Dion Lennox, and Osiris, they're the tag champs for Dark State. Pretty good match overall with the Hardy Boys winning. They have, and now they've won a couple other titles on the Indies, so they have 4 total titles right now, y'all. That's insane. But I really, really love that they have won the NXT titles now. Now they won like all the championships within WWE. Obviously, they are WWE legends. They're going to go in the Hall of Fame at some point. So I'm excited that they won this. And also, this makes them the first TNA superstars to win a NXT title, after NXT has won both of their world titles now. The second match of the night was the Women's Survivor Series elimination match between Team TNA and Team NXT. For NXT, we had the Captain Jacy Jayne as she's the NXT Women's Champion. Sol Ruca, the NXT Women's North American Champion and the current Speed Champion. Lola Vice, and also Jada Parker. For Team TNA, we had Captain Kalani Jordan, who is the newest Knockouts Women's Champion for TNA. We also had the inspiration of Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, who are the Women's Tag Team Champions over in TNA. And then we also had Mara Shade, who is a former NXT star, in Jakara Jackson. Overall, pretty cool matchup. I did like that it was elimination style, so once you're pinned, you're out, and it goes, down by numbers. Jada Parker was the first one eliminated by Mara Shade, which was a little surprising, but immediately following that, Mara Shade was eliminated by Sol Ruca. She hit the Soul Snatcher on her. Lola Vice then went on a rampage and eliminated both Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, but later was eliminated by Kalani Jordan, so it's 2-1 NXT. Jacy Jayne, Sol Ruca, and then Kalani Jordan were left. Sol Ruca eventually hits the Soul Snatcher on Kalani Jordan, but Jacy Jayne sneaks in the tag, gets through the ropes, and steals the pin from Sol Ruca to get the win for Team NXT. So I feel like potentially now we're going to have a Sol and Jacy Jayne feud, so I'm definitely interested in that. The third match of the night was Ethan Page versus Mustafa Ali for the Men's North American Championship. Now, if you are an NXT watcher and you've watched it for many years now, you know that Mustafa Ali was supposed to face off at NXT No Mercy 2 years ago against Dominic Mysterio, I believe, for the North American Championship. But before they actually had the match, he was released from WWE. So in this time away, he has joined TNA, reevaluated his character, redone a lot of stuff, and he demanded a NXT North American Championship for versus Ethan Page the week prior. So going into this match, we knew there was a lot on the line for TNA also, because TNA is trying to get a couple titles back as, again, NXT has won the men's world title and the women's world title from TNA twice. Overall, it was a pretty decent matchup between Page and Ali, but Page ended up retaining, and it seems like his focus is still with Dr. Wagner Jr. of AAA. So interesting to see how that is going to play out. I still feel like Ethan Page should go to the main roster, in my opinion, but I don't know. I feel like he's enjoying his time in NXT and enjoys doing all the different things he can. Alrighty, the final match of the night was the Men's Survivor Series elimination match. For Team NXT, we had the captain, Ricky Saints, who is the NXT champion. Trick Williams was also on Team NXT, even though he is the TNA World Champion. We also had the young OG, Javon Evans, and then Miles Bourne on Team NXT. Now, for TNA, we had Captain Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and the X Division champion Leon Slater. And we had the guest referee of Joe Hendry for the men's matchup. Now, Miles Bourne was the first eliminated by Frankie Kazarian. Javon Evans was next eliminated by Leon Slater, which is interesting because those two have a matchup at Bound for Glory for the X Division title. So that is only leaving Trick Williams and Ricky Saints left for Team NXT. But Trick Williams notably walks out on his own team, leaving Ricky by himself, dude. Ricky was trying to get a tag, and Trick literally just said, you know what, I'm out of here. Ricky did get some momentum going after Trick left, eliminating Frankie Kazarian and Leon Slater. But in the end, Ricky Saints was eliminated by Captain Mike Santana. And Team TNA stood tall at the end of Showdown. And it was 2-2 in the end as the Hardy Boys won for TNA. The men's team won for TNA. Women's team won for NXT. And Ethan Page won for NXT. So 2-2 in the end. End of the episode, we did see Ava and Santino Marello talking. Ava wants to have a kind of battle royale to set up the next opponent for Jacy Jayne, and she wants to invite some TNA knockouts, so that's going to be interesting who is going to be invited for that. Going into this episode, I think I was overhyping it a little bit, so I was a little disappointed in some of the matches. I feel like nothing really happened with Joe Hendry. Nothing happened with Jordan Grace being the special guest referee. I thought something with that would happen, but nothing actually happened. So I felt like they fell flat a little bit, and they could have done something a little bit more here. But I'm still interested to see, with the TNA NXT relationship and the partnership. Still interested to see some of the things that are going to go happen overall. But WWE, pretty solid week once again with Crown Jewel, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all the things. We are definitely headed forward to Saturday night's main event, which is November 1st, and then also Survivor Series at the end of November. So make sure you guys are tuning in each week to recap and catch up with WWE as you need. I appreciate all the support and love from everyone in the Keeping Tabs family. Make sure you check out all my other social medias, Instagram, X, and especially TikTok. That's where you get all your daily content from myself. I love to post anything and everything on there, so check that out. And once again, thank you for coming back to the YouTube and for another episode of the podcast, episode 13. We are wrapping it up. Y'all have a beautiful day, and don't forget to be keeping tabs.